Thank you all for joining us. My name is Dakota Neff, the Senior Director of Human Resources and Operations at the Sigma Chi Fraternity. Today, we've got a great webinar being put on Mission 365 recruitment strategies, featuring our Florida Atlantic chapter and some of the techniques that they're utilizing that we believe will be very helpful for most of our chapters to take advantage of. Today we've got a great panel set up, and I'm going to hand things over in a moment to our Mission 365 Chairman, Dale Thomas. Just so that everyone knows, this webinar will be recorded for anyone that's not able to attend and for you to review afterwards. Additionally, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the question pane in your dashboard, and we'll get to those as we go through the webinar. Without further ado, Dale, take it away.
Thanks, Dakota. So good afternoon, brothers. Thank you for taking the time out of your afternoon to talk to us about Mission 365 and our strategy here. As the committee, we look at chapters that succeed and do well and really kind of our poster child for how to do Mission 365 and recruit the right way. You consistently, Delta Town at Florida Atlantic University is consistently heads and tails above just about all of our chapters in the way they recruit, especially during this pandemic when you don't have the opportunity to get on campus and talk to individuals and make the relationships and welcome people, incoming freshmen, as you normally would. And so we've asked Vincent Fernald to come and present along with Kevin Smith, which is the proconsul at Delta Tau. But joining us today, we have Caitlin Martin on the call, who is the curriculum designer for the Mission 365, along with the SCLI staff, and Mr. Jim Cogdell, who is the executive director of SCLI, and then Vincent Fernald, who I've mentioned previously, and Kevin Smith, the proconsul there. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Vincent and walk you guys through what they have found as successes that on behalf of the committee we felt would be beneficial to get in front of all of our chapters to help during these times. So Vincent, take it away.
All right, thanks, Dale. So we're really, really excited to share the success that we've had specifically over the last 3 months with the campus being closed, the majority of our members living in different parts of the state or different parts of the country, and the real success that we've had with meeting new potential new members. So I want to share those things with you guys today. But let me kind of start off giving you a short story of like where FAU was 5 years ago versus where it is today. So 5 years ago, chapter was really, really struggling, specifically with recruitment. In the fall of 2019, at the end of the semester, we had 28 members. We continued to do the same thing semester after semester. Couldn't really get any traction. It wasn't that there weren't bad guys in the chapter. They just really didn't know what to do, how to do things differently. The first thing that they did, smart enough, was they reached out to the general fraternity and asked for the Mission 365 program, and that really became the turning point for the undergraduate chapter. Fast forward now, 5 years later, we've gone through the Mission 365 program 4 times. Last three years, we've had a 200% increase in membership. So we ended, so 5 years ago, we were 28 members. We ended this spring at 91 members. So we've had a 200% increase. The chapter's won a Peterson 3 years in a row, just donated $25,000 to Huntsman, and was just awarded the chapter of the year. So chapter's just doing all the right things, and we really believe that recruitment was the starting point for us. You can go ahead and move on to the first slide or the next slide. So along with Mission 365, I would recommend after this call or sometime this week to visit a site called Fire Up. There's a ton of free resources there, not just on recruitment, on all things chapter related. But if there's 2 takeaways that you definitely need to visit on this website, 2 things you need to read as soon as possible is, One, there's an article underneath it, Meeting People. It's called Drivers for Fraternity and Sororities. You've got to read this. It gives you 60 ways on how to find new members for recruitment. And then another one that for us, has been very helpful since we're not meeting people face to face and we're contacting those people through social media. There's a message on how to text message through social media. So it's basically, how do you make a cold call? What do you say in those situations the first time, or if somebody's now reached back out to you, like some scripted text, so that first interaction isn't so awkward. So this is definitely a must read for everybody. You can move on to the next slide. So right after COVID hit our campus, after everything kind of settled down, so in the middle of our spring break, university told us that all classes were going online. Of course, that was a big shock to us. We're about to initiate our pledge class. That was put on hold, so we still have a pledge class out there pending. After the dust settled, we realized that we quickly needed to figure out a plan on how we were going to start to recruit differently, because obviously the talk was that this could last a little bit longer than we want, and that what would we do if we became virtual throughout the fall? So these are techniques that we have been using for a long period of time, but we've really kind of honed into them. So around the second week of April, we started reaching out to students through these main 4 Instagram posts. So FAU Class of 2024 was our main one. So we basically, what we did was we'd go onto the Instagram, go ahead and start to follow them, and then start the interaction. Our main goal with these interactions are just really 2 things. We want to meet as many people as possible and just make some friends. So we're not looking at this point in the stage of the game to talk about anything about Sigma Chi. We just really want to be an advocate for the university on how we can bring in new students and help them with that transition into FAU. You know, many students didn't go through graduation, and they didn't have prom, they didn't have senior day, whatnot. So these kids are really starving for basically some human interaction, and we're starting to facilitate for that. So when we first interact with those students, you know, the first interaction would be something really simple, like welcome to FAU. Our FAU tagline is welcome to paradise. And then we'll just basically say something along with, you know, we know you're coming to FAU. If there's any questions you have about moving into the dorms, what are the best dorms, what are the best gyms to work out at, what type of classes you want to take. We're just really offering that as a support group. And we've got some really great responses. So you can't recruit those people you don't know. So for us, this has been a really great tool in this time where we can't come together and students aren't coming on campus, that we've been able to reach out to students throughout, not just in Boca or in the state of Florida, but we've reached out to kids in California, Chicago, New Jersey. This has just been a really great tool for us. Can you move on to the next slide? So this is just a little bit of KPIs that's really kind of shown how successful we've been. So when we look at, right now, we're not trying to recruit or go after that typical 3 to 5% that will go Greek on our campus. We're looking to reach out to that, you know, 95, 97% of the students that, you know, come into college and like, I want nothing to do with fraternities. So this is what we're trying to do with this. So we know on our campus, there's about 22 full-time incoming freshmen. Right now, we've reached out to 205 freshmen on Instagram. So that's only about 10%. So there's still a number of people that we could potentially reach out to. Of that 205 people that we've reached out to, 140 of us, 184 people have decided to follow us back. So we've got a 90% conversion rate. So that shows that in some way, they're engaged, they're willing to listen. They have eyes on our Instagram page, which is great, because the last thing you want to do is put up a post about recruitment or something that you're being successful for in your chapter and nobody's looking at your page, so it does you no good. So again, we've got more followers, we got more people looking at our Instagram page. Of those 184 freshmen that have decided to follow us back. We've been able to track that 138 have at least liked one of our posts. Many of them are liked many of our posts. And the reason why I bring that up, again, it shows that they're engaged with our chapter. They're starting to follow us. They like our posts. And that just gives us, when we start the contact with them, we can have a little bit more information on the type of people that we're reaching out to. Of the 184 people that have again started to follow, new freshmen that started to follow, 70 so far have gone on to this site that are called Chapter Builder, which I'll talk later on in the presentation, that have filled out an interest profile. So these are guys now that said, hey, I'm interested in Sigma Chi. I'm interested in recruitment. We have not asked one of these 70 people to go on to fill out this interest profile. They've just done it on their own. So it's through our engagement, through text messaging. It's through some people. We've had a couple of people meeting people in person just to kind of talk about the university. A lot of people have asked us like where the dorms at, where the best professors to take, where the best gyms to work out in. And we realize that after we've been able to answer those questions, we get more engagement. And then naturally, they're just starting to fill out the interest program. While 70 might not seem like a large number, this time last year, we had 5 people fill out an interest program. So you can see we went from 5 last year in July to 70. So we've definitely made some progress. Not only do we follow people on the 4 main Instagram pages that are mostly freshmen will follow, we've also gone on to chapters like SIGEP. SIGEP is a really good chapter on our campus. So we'll actually go onto their page too and find out who they're following or who's following them. And so that's another way to kind of figure out people who might be engaged. So definitely look at other fraternities on your campus or look at IFC or FS Life. So of the 184 people, again, just to show our progress, we know that of the 184 people that are following us, only 20 are following SIGEP, and SIGEP is probably next to us, one of the best chapters on campus. So we've had a lot of success by following people and engaging people through Instagram. Can you move on to the next page?
Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to jump in because I think these KPIs, these key performance indicators that you bring up, like you said, I mean, they may seem kind of detail oriented, but I think about like the landscape that we're in, the climate that we're in, with so many of our chapters, kind of being unsure about what they're going to be coming back to, in terms of like an on-the-ground, in-person recruitment. And no matter what, wherever FAU comes in, you're already generating a ton of engagement online and digitally, and that's before you even step foot back on campus, and that is such a huge advantage. And particularly like we know our California state school system is going to be starting online, and certainly could be facing some digital recruitment challenges. What you have laid out, these KPIs that have laid out, has shown that, hey, you can get the process started and the strategy started long before you are kind of person to person, face to face doing the recruiting. Hopefully we get there sooner rather than later, but there is a strategy to be done digitally that works and can help your chapter succeed while we're still working on cell phones and computers.
Yeah. What we didn't realize that because we started this so early, so we really started contacting incoming freshmen, and we're mainly just targeting incoming freshmen, right? Because we know that's our biggest pool. Because we started like in April and then did it through the month of May, orientation for our university, virtual orientation, didn't start till June. So we were basically the first contact of these incoming freshmen. So they were in love with us because we were telling them the best dorms to go to, professors to take. So like when we realized that they were filling out their class schedules, because all of a sudden we started getting all these DMs on our Instagram page saying, hey, is this a good professor to take, right? And what a great resource that we can be for these incoming freshmen. And again, once we were able to provide that information, I guess there must have been some sort of trust factor there. And they're like, hey, let's look at these guys a little bit deeper. So again, I think reaching out to them early and reaching out to them often and being engaging them, like we've seen some really great success.
And one of the things I wanna highlight, if you guys picked up on it, is he said that, you know, out of all of these 184 guys and the 138 that have liked their posts and the 70 that have filled out their profiles, none of this conversation has been centered around, hey, come check out Sigma Chi or come recruit Sigma Chi. It's really following what we teach in the Mission 365 program, which is starting off with building the friendships and the relationships and building that trust. And so I want to highlight that they've had this success so far just by doing that and that alone. And they haven't even got to the point where they're talking about, you know, P for B or any of the Sigma Chi, you know, greatness.
Yeah, we like literally we haven't asked one person to fill out a profile. We haven't, like, certainly there's been people that have asked questions about recruitment, but we're not leading off with that. We're not suggesting that. We're just, again, we're trying to meet as many people as possible, and we're just trying to make some friends. And the bonus is they decide to go through Rush and they become a pledge. Like, that's the bonus. And if they don't, right, now we've got a ton of advocates on the ground. We got a ton of people that are like, hey, you know what, fraternity's not for me at this time, but like, hey, I met these Sigma Chi guys. They were really, really helpful. You should go check them out. So we know that some of these guys are for whatever reason, whether they're too busy, you know, they're not going to be on campus, they don't have the money, they might not decide to become a fraternity, go rush Sigma Chi or pledge fraternity. But now we've got a ton of advocates out there, and that's, at the end of the day, that's what we want. You can move on to the next slide. So again,
did you have a question?
No, because I think you're going to cover it later, Vince, with the way you structure recruitment team and who checks the social media statistics.
Yeah. So again, we have, like I said before, if you go back to on the online service, I mean, the website called Fire Up, there's an article that reads there that talks about, you know, open lines for the first time you're going to text people. So we have, this is just 2 examples of social media text that we give out to members of our recruitment team, or our 2 recruitment chairmen will use. We just have some basic text that's already pre-made, because the way you're gonna text somebody for the first time versus the way you're gonna send a text to somebody that's shown an interest in you versus somebody that maybe liked one of your posts versus somebody that maybe you met last semester, is going to be a different way. So again, we're just preparing our recruitment team to give them some options on what to say for that first time, so the first interaction isn't so awkward. You can go on to next text and the next slide. So this has been a huge success for us. By offering a scholarship. So we started doing this about a year ago. So basically we offer a $1,000 scholarship to any incoming freshman, and we make it really simple. We just ask for their name, their email, their phone number, and their Instagram. And then we just ask for really 3 basic things of information. We ask for their current grade point average, whether that's in college, because sometimes they have college credits, or their high school, any leadership positions that they've held, and then any clubs or organizations that they're looking for. Again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to appeal to that 97% of the students that would have no desire to ever want to join a fraternity. But now we've got some contact information. And so after we have that information, our scholarship chairman, now we've given our scholarship chairman something tangible to do. He will meet with them soon as, well, we've done this in the past. Now we'll do this virtually. He'll meet with them before recruitment actually starts. So in a typical campus, right, you can't have any recruitment events until the official IC event starts. Well, this isn't recruitment, this is scholarship. So now I've got a recruitment chair, I've got a scholarship chairman who's meeting with a person that has applied for a scholarship with 3 other people or 2 other people on my recruitment team that happen to be on my recruitment team, that's having a conversation to hopefully provide some incoming freshmen with a $1,000 scholarship. And what do you know? What happens? Naturally, we've had over 50% of the people that applied for the scholarship now have decided to go through recruitment. So this has been a huge, huge success for us. So now, fast forward 2 years later, what has happened to our chapter? Our grade point average has gone up. Our pledge class, this last spring pledge class, for the first time in our 7-year history, broke a 3.0 grade point average when they were pledging. Not only did they break a 3.0, but they got a 3.32. So huge increase in our GPA. We've got more people now involved in clubs and organizations. 2 people decide to join ISC. These are all things that we were struggling with in the past, and we believe that the scholarship was a huge help for us, because again, we're starting to attract the students that would have nothing to do with joining a fraternity. Now, a lot of chapters are going to say, especially at this time, like, hey, $1,000 is way too much money. It's not something that we can offer. Like, maybe you start off with 500. Look at your budget, and I will challenge you. While everybody loves a free Rush T-shirt, it's really doing nothing to recruit new members. There's not a person that I believe that will ever pledge Sigma Chi because you have the coolest Rush T-shirt. So there's money to be found in your budget. Maybe you don't spend $400, $500 on building the brand new 10-foot wooden Sigma Chi letters that seem to get lost or damaged every semester. Maybe you find your money in some other ways, because this is what's going to get you potentially new members, where some of those other things are great to have, but they're not. Letters and Rush T-shirts aren't going to get you new members. So I would challenge you that there's money to be found, and maybe you start off with a $500 scholarship. The other thing that's happened with us, our university loves us that we do this. So, because there's no fraternity on campus that's giving out scholarships. So the university, again, you want to get in good with the university and have them think of you in a different way. This is a great way to do it.
And Vince, I think as you were talking about the raise in GPA and chapter of the year and chapter president of the year, you're really highlighting that when you put your efforts onto recruitment and you focus on recruitment and you bring in the best men on your campus, not only does that impact your future recruitment capabilities, but it impacts your entire chapter for the better. It helps build a better chapter and a better brotherhood, not just that social aspect.
Yeah, no doubt. We're definitely we're getting better student leaders. So we're getting people that obviously have focused on academics in the past, because we're looking for people that with higher grade point average as they come in to the chapter, and then just naturally, like, listen, if they're involved in high school, they're already involved in clubs and organization, like it just becomes better for our chapter, because again, when we have more people involved in clubs and organizations, then they find more people to come and recruit us. And that's why I think we've seen a 200% increase in our membership over the last 3 years. You can move on to the next slide. So I'm just going to give you a couple best practices that we've found with our Instagram page. So again, we're really using our social media to our advantage. So we would suggest that keep your bio super clean and simple. I know we're all super proud of our chapter names. I'm certainly proud to be from Theta Zeta chapter, Bridgewater State, and certainly proud that chapter advisor of the Lambda Tau chapter at FAU. But sometimes your chapter names can be confusing to non-Greeks. So something that you may want to consider when you're putting things in your bio. Also, something like if we put in our bio in hoc signo wing case, like that has a meaning to us, but it might not have a meaning to the average student. So just think about whatever you put in your bio, think about the audience that you're trying to reach out to. So for us, we always like to keep the famous John Way quote up there. Men join fraternities and leaders of men join Sigma Chi. We're certainly highlighting two of the things that we've done well this semester. So we became chapter of the year, and our council became president of the year. And then we always have a link on there directing people to recruitment, because we're recruiting 365 days a year. So we always have a link and are asking people to recruit. And then, obviously this can change during the year. So if you have, you want to highlight, you gave $25,000 to Huntsman, or you have a high grade point average, or you're graded in intramurals, like whatever you want to highlight, this is your opportunity, this is your landing page to do that. So keep it simple, keep it clean, and potentially you'll attract more people to your page. You can go on to the next slide. So one of our best days for converting people to get them to fill out, and it's just a form, again, it's not something that we asked anybody to do. So on May 1st of this year was the National Decision Day. So it was a day that all freshmen had to make a decision for the most part on what universities they were going. And then online, FAU was really promoting this. So they were asking all the people that decided to go FAU to do the hashtag FAU bound or FAU 2024. So we spent the entire day from 9 o'clock in the morning to 6 being on social media. So there's a bunch of us that were doing it. So as we saw those tags come through, we started following more people. And then as we started following them, right, everyone's excited because they're all getting excited about coming to FAU, and FAU's doing stuff online. We're starting to welcome them to FAU, saying welcome to paradise. You know, this was one of the posts that we put up there. And then naturally that day, we got 12 people to sign up for our recruitment page. So just spent the day. It was a great day for us. So all your Instagram posts don't have to be necessarily around Sigma Chi. You definitely want to have some posts that are welcoming freshmen to whatever university you're coming to. Or maybe, you know, we also just spent a day, it was the first day of online orientation for us. So again, it was a day that we spent online all day because we knew that our new incoming freshmen were going through virtual orientation. So we spent the day, and then we were tagging people all day, sending them welcome messages. We're going on the FAU orientation page saying, you know, welcome to FAU, check out our Instagram page. And we got a ton of followers that day. So you can move on to the next slide. So I would challenge our chapters to stop using the tagline Rush Sigma Chi. It's not effective. Again, it's effective for that 3 to 5% of the students that are going to go Sigma Chi anyways. And I would challenge you is, why should I rush Sigma Chi? Rush Sigma Chi, why? Well, like, what's the reason? A question that we've used that's been really successful and resonated with, again, that 97% of the students that are out there. The question that we put in our Instagram page is, if there was an organization on campus that helped develop value-based leaders, fostered lifelong friendships, and was about making a positive impact on the world, would you be interested in learning more? We've got a ton. When we make this post, every time we make this post, we get at least one person who will sign up on Chapter Builder and fill out an interest form, so we know it's working, versus Rush Sigma Chi. So again, we're trying to engage that student in a different way, to look at it a different way. Like, who wouldn't want to belong to an organization that had developed lifelong friendships, developed, you know, value-based leadership, and made an impact on the world? Like, who wouldn't want to know more about that? So again, this is a marketing tool that we've used, and we found this to be very successful for us.
Dale, can you also talk a little bit about the fraternity's perspective on this moving away from a rush mentality to actually focusing on recruitment, and why we don't want to use the phrase Rush Sigma Chi?
Sure.
Yeah, because okay, go ahead.
So what I would say, you know, from our perspective, you know, when you hear the term rush, and we've been saying this for several years now, but you know, when you hear the term rush, it's hurried and it's quick, and you don't have really that opportunity to understand what you're getting into or what you're bringing in. As someone has said several times, you know, we don't pick our spouses in a 5-day period where we see them for 1 hour a day over 5 days and make a lifetime commitment that way. So why are we asking them to do that to us, and why are we doing that to our potential new members? And so, you know, we want to really get away from the rush because of the mentality of, you know, I'm in a rush to get somewhere, I'm in a hurry, and it's that negative connotation about it. Whereas recruitment really does talk about and has that intonation of building the relationship, getting to know someone, building that trust, getting vulnerable with one another, and then starting those conversations.
You can move on to the next slide. So again, I'll challenge the chapters out there. I've looked a lot of Instagram pages. A lot of them need some help. Again, we're successful because we're being consistent about our posting. So again, we're using this. Are you looking for lifelong friendships, value-based leadership, and making a positive impact on the world? We make this part of our Instagram story 5 days a week. So it's the same message, it's the same advertising. It's no different than Nike, you just do it. That's their message that they're trying to get across, but the imagery will look differently. So these are just 4 examples of what we've posted every single day, and we're rotating this and we're making new ones. So we're posting this every single day in our stories because we know not everybody's on Instagram every single day. So again, we're just trying to be consistent on our stories. We're being consistent on our Instagram posts. So the more imagery that you have, the more content you have, the more people are willing to follow you, the more engagement that you're going to get. And that's, again, what we're trying to do. We're trying to get engagement and have more people looking at us, and we're trying to promote our chapter in the best light. Like, listen, like, we're not trying to say we're a bunch of choir boys, but anyway, we definitely put social pictures up there, but we're also trying to show that, we raise money for Huntsman. We do leadership stuff. Like, we just posted one on today on our page about the members that went to workshop last summer. So we're trying to show our potential new members that there's just more than the average frat stuff that's out there. And so these are just some examples. And I know a lot of you guys are starting to use these, so it makes me super excited. So I've seen a lot of you guys grab our posts and start using them on yours. So kudos to you guys for doing that. It's awesome. You can go on to the next slide. A lot of you guys do this already. Again, I think this is a great way to connect with people virtually, right? How do they get to know us a little bit? So a lot of us do this where it's a senior that might be graduating. We'll do a highlight of an officer or a highlight of a brother of the week. Again, this is, if you're not doing this, is a great way to highlight your brothers. And I would challenge you to have them share their Sigma Chi stories. This is a great one where Andrew said, I never basically thought I would join a fraternity, but it's done wonders for me. So I think in a short, concise paragraph, a couple things about highlighting what Sigma Chi has done for you. Again, we're trying to reach out to that 90%, 97% of the students that would never consider going rushing Sigma Chi or going Greek. And this is a great avenue to do that, especially when we're not meeting a lot of people. And then what happens is if they see this picture of Xavier, right? And now Xavier is already on a Zoom call with a potential new member, which we'll talk about later. It just makes it so much easier for those interactions. You can go on to the next
Vince,
one.
Vince, one quick question coming from Michael Nickerson. In regards to like Instagram and social media, are PNMs being followed from the chapter's social media account, or are individual brothers interacting and engaging with the PNMs?
Yeah, so it starts off with, we do everything through the FAU SIGs page, so definitely the chapters page, and then naturally, of course, as soon as my 2 recruitment chairmen, we have 2 recruitment, we'll start following them too. And then our recruitment chairman, in their bio, it says Sigma Chi recruitment chairman. So everything is really, and our recruitment chairman have access to our Instagram page, so we do everything through that. So again, it's, we just find it easier, and then they understand like why somebody's texting them versus like, who's Semi Rivera, like why is he texting us? Like, I don't know who this guy is. So, but then naturally those conversations do move on to personal pages eventually.
We also are aware that every single one of your institutions are going to have different rules when it comes to recruitment. So when you hear these best practices, always make sure to check those rules before you incorporate or implement any of these best practices to make sure that you're not breaking those rules that you have to follow.
Yeah, I mean, right now we are recruiting, but we're making friends. And I don't know how a university could prevent you from talking to students. We're making friends. We're just making friends. We're offering advice. We're offering support. Certainly when they come onto campus and they need help moving into the dorms, like we're going to be there for them. So we're making friends. And then the bonus again is they decide to fill out an interest form. Then the conversation completely changes with them, because now we know they're interested in us, and that's what we want to try to convert people to.
And if you've been on any of the previous recruitment webinars, you've heard Dale, Jim, and myself say, if your institution is telling you you can't make friends 365 days a year, we want you to let one of the three of us know so we can have a conversation with them as the headquarters as to why you really should be making friends 365 days a year.
Yeah, we're not leading off with anything in Sigma Chi. We're just, if they ask, we'll offer it, but we're not putting it out there. I'll just go over this really quick. So a lot of people have DM'd us, want to know, like, how do we make all our content? This is a great website, canva.com. Definitely check it out. Super easy to make posts on Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media you're using. There is a cost to it. It's $128 a year or $13 a month. This has just been a godsend. It's super easy to make, plug and play. Check it out. This will make your Instagram pages pop. So highly recommend it. You can move on to the next page.
Yeah, Vincent, I don't know if you cut out for a second, so I don't know if you mentioned it. But there is also a free version of Canva as well, if your chapter can't afford that $128 a year right now.
Yeah. You move on to the next page.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Linktree.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. If you guys aren't using this, again, I would highly recommend it. This is a company called Linktree. It's a link that you can put in your bio for your Instagram post. And the great thing about this is that you can have multiple links that people can go to, because we know that our chapters are doing multiple things at one time. We're recruiting, we're selling t-shirts, we're trying to raise money for Huntsman, whatever it is. And we tend to put up a link, take it down, put up a link, take it down. And this way, we can have one link on our page. When they click on it, it brings them to a download page of all the links that we have, of all the things that we're doing, and then that person can decide where they need to go. So for us, we're always recruiting 365 days a year. So the Linktree link is on our bio. They click on it. As you can see on the iPhone here, our recruitment profile form is always up, always ready. So people can fill out an interest form in April, May, June, July, December, whenever they find our link. Our Rush video is always up there, so it's easy access. Right now we're selling 2 t-shirts. We have a link to Huntsman. We have a link to sigmachi.org. We have a link to the Sigma Chi store, because our brothers are always asking us, like, what's the link to buy new merchandise? So we have all the things that we're always using, and it's up 365 days a year. Again, there's a free version for this, so it's not going to cost you any money. And for $6 a month, it gives you all these bells and whistles. The great thing about the $6 a month, it gives you some analytics, so you can actually see who's in, how many people are engaging in your links. So when we put up a post for recruitment Sigma Chi or selling a t-shirt, through the analytics, you can see how many people actually clicked on your link. So it kind of gives you some information if your advertising is working. So, and that's only $6 a month, but there is a free version for that. So highly recommend it, something you guys want to check out. Go on to the next page. Okay, this is where I'm going to get super excited. So Chapter Builder has been one of the best things that we have done, that we have used over the last 3 years to help manage our process. So, managing right now 70, this past spring, we had 140 people go through sign up on our recruitment, fill out an interest form, and that can be extremely hard to manage the process. And Chapter Builder makes it super simple to manage that process. There's no more need for the Google Docs, or even worse, that we'll have a sign-up sheet at a recruitment event, and then by the time we get to the bid meeting, that sheet has gone missing and we don't know who showed up. We don't know who came to our events last year. We don't remember that. And Chapter Builder solves all those issues. And it's a simple place that people can go on 365 days a year and fill out an interest profile, and you can keep track of them. The best part about Chapter Builder is it's free. So there's really no reason why our chapters shouldn't be using this. So I'm going to demo a couple things on Chapter Builder. So if you want to go ahead and turn that over to me again.
Jim, while we're getting this set up, can you also mention in person the chat you just sent to everyone?
Yep. So while we get Vince set up to give you a walkthrough, Dale, Kate, and myself were on a call with Fired Up this morning to kind of walk through the intricacies of Chapter Builder. And what we learned was, particularly the free Chapter Builder, a lot of our chapters, I would say a majority of our chapters, at some point since 2016, have set up a free version of a Chapter Builder profile. So we were on with their the director who organizes Chapter Builder and runs the software, Matt Farrell, and he said, listen, put my email out there and have them email me. We're absolutely offering demos right now to be able to walk through the site. And here's my email. And if everybody wants to kind of reignite their Chapter Builder account, here's my email. So I posted his email, farrell@firedup.com, in the chat. Like I said, there's a pretty good chance that your chapter already has the profile started, and they would work to get all of the current officers and recruitment chairmen and advisors access to the Chapter Builder account, so you can start using the free version of it immediately. It's really a great setup. The free version gives you 10 free licenses, which is basically, in many cases, either a recruitment team like Vince is going to walk through here, plus your chapter advisor or your executive board and chapter advisor. So, these are all unbelievable resources, particularly in the landscape that we're in right now, that can help you prepare and organize, your recruitment strategy that Vince is going to show you here in a second. So, if you are interested in getting back your profile on Chapter Builder, the email address is dropped there in the chat for you to go email Matt and get all of your login information. So Vince, all yours.
Okay, perfect. So a person visits our Instagram page, right? We have a link on there through Linktree. They click on that. There's a drop-down menu with all the different places that they can go. And the first thing that they see on our Linktree drop-down menu is the recruitment interest form. They click that on and they fill out a form, no different than what chapters use, Google Docs, whatever they use. You can custom make the type of questions that you want to ask, whatever you want to make. And the person fills out the form, and then they have the option to upload a photograph. On the back end, this is what you see. So got the person's picture here. We've got his email address, his phone number. And on the right here, the PNM's information. These are all the things that we've decided we want to ask. So certainly want to know if this kid is a legacy or not, any awards, his college GPA, high school GPA, what he's involved in, where they're from, Instagram, business, what year they're in college. So this is all just kind of basic information that we're starting to collect from people. So we get to know a little bit more about them. It's great because we have a profile picture for them. And the great thing about this alone is that when it comes now to bid meetings, right, we just throw up Chapter Builder, type in the kid's name, he's got a picture there. We've got all basic information that we can kind of rattle off, and it's a one place central location versus, well, let's go on Instagram, let's find his picture, who was the kid that came to our event and whatnot. So this just makes it super simple. The other great thing about this is that as we start to have conversations with Joel, we can start logging in those conversations. So last night we had a Zoom meeting. Joel was on our first recruitment Zoom meeting because he showed that interest in us. We had one last night. And then Kevin, who's our pro-consul, after the meeting, wrote some notes, great conversation, needs to meet other people. He's interested in fishing, so we got to take him fishing. We know that he's looking at SIGEP, which is one of our competitions. And then Joel, after the conversation, left us a great message on our Instagram DM. So we entered that in there. So the great thing about that is now come, August or September, when we start voting on our PNMs, sometimes you're not going to remember the conversation you had with somebody 3 months ago, but this is a great place where you can leave a note. And you can bring that up during the discussions, and that can create some dialogue with the person who originally met them maybe 2 or 3 years ago. 2 or 3 months ago. It's also a great place just because we're just not having our recruitment chairmen that are logged on to this. We have, for us, we have what we're paying. We're doing the paid version, so we got a little bit more people. We have 17 people that actually have access to this, so they can go in, look at the candidates. We start assigning people to different candidates. So this candidate is assigned to Sammy Rivera, who's our recruitment chairman. So Sammy's going to be the guy who's assigned to Joel to make sure that he comes to all our events. Will be his main sense of contact, because we don't want 17 people, bombarding this guy with a text. Sammy is his guy, and Sammy will be kind of like his guide through the entire recruitment progress. So the other great thing about using this is that as he goes through, when everybody logs on to the page and fills out a profile, they'll be assigned a letter grade, and the first letter grade they're assigned is D, which means needs to be contacted. So that means we've really done nothing with them. They log in, they automatically get assigned a D, and as they go through the process of recruitment, we'll start to change the letter grades. So for us, we met him last night on a Zoom meeting. Conversation was really great. He definitely expressed interest. He sent us a DM after, said, hey, I want to meet you guys, or if you guys have another Zoom meeting, or when you guys have recruitment events. So we know he's expressed interest. So now we've changed his status for us, that he's expressed interest. After, what we do is, after we've met with this guy a couple times, we realize that there's a bunch of brothers in the chapter that really like this guy. We'll change the status to be for mutual interest. So then when we go into our bid meetings, we're only going to be talking about guys that are Bs or higher. Well, actually, that are Bs. So we're not going to be talking to anybody that we haven't met yet, or there's not enough guys that talk to them. So it just, again, for us, it makes our bid meetings a lot streamlined. So then we also know the guys that we need to target. So if there's a bunch of C's on there, we know that, hey, we know he's expressed interest to us, but we haven't met him yet. So not enough brothers have met him yet. So it's, again, a way to target people, if that all makes sense. Then when we start to vote on people and we finally give this kid a bid, we're going to assign him an A. We've given this, we want to give this kid a bid, and then once he accepts, again, we'll assign an A+ means he's accepted his bid. So again, we all will have, when we give out a bid, so our bid meetings get done super late, 11 o'clock at night, we get a bunch of people on the phone, everybody starts making calls and saying, hey, we want to give you a bid, and then that person, because there's multiple people offering bids, they'll log in to Chapter Builder and say they got accepted. So now our recruitment chairman knows who's accepted a bid and who hasn't. The other great thing is that for us, we'll keep people on Chapter Builder through the following semester. And so what happens for us, status. So last semester, sometimes you don't remember, like, who did we talk to last semester? So most of these guys that are A's and B's, and a couple of them that are C's, these are guys that we actually voted on last semester. The 3 guys with an A we voted on, we offered them a bid. 2 of them weren't able to accept the bid because after we ran the grade points, they didn't meet our grade point average of a 2.8. And then one guy decided at the last minute that he didn't have the time to do it. So now, 6 months later, we're starting recruitment. We go back to these guys and we go to the two Camerons. Are you still interested? Yes. Do you have the grades? Show us your new grade point average. They have a great grade point average. We reach out to Joey. Joey's like, hey, now I have the time. So now we have 3 bids ready to go. So it's now July. There's 3 bids ready to go before the official recruitment already started because we've already had contact with these guys. And then we know everybody else, Kevin, Matt, Philip, Ryan, Saul. These are all guys that we actually voted on last semester, but for whatever reason didn't make the cut. We didn't get to know them enough. We got to our point. We didn't want to have a pledge class more than 15. We had 15. We already gave out 15 bids. So now again, these are potentially guys that we'll reach out to again this semester, and actually they've already started reaching out to them and re-engaging with them to see if they're interested. And more than half of them are like, yes, I'm definitely want to go out to Rush Sigma again. So again, a great starting point for us.
Hey, Vinny, how long, time-wise, is an undergrad recruitment chairman or his recruitment team, about how many hours a day or a week are they spending in this?
I know for chapter builder, you automatically get a notice when somebody signs up. So, I know that Kevin, our pro consul, is in there a lot. I know we have 2 recruitment chairmen. They're in there a lot. So, they'll spend, on an average week, I don't know, maybe 5 hours. It's not a lot of time. Just going in there, seeing who they are, re-engaging them. The big thing is, you want to have follow up. If somebody sends you an interest form, you want to, our rule of thumb is, within 24 hours, we send them a text saying, hey, thank you for filling out an interest form. My name is Sammy. I'm the recruitment chairman. Our plan is our normal plan right now is in the next 30 days, we'll be in contact with you. We'd love to set up a Zoom meeting so you get to know us a little bit better. So that's kind of been the process for us. You just don't want them to fill out a form and then don't do anything with it for 3 months. And again, for us, we're constantly re-engaging. What we've found too is after we've had the Zoom calls, the guys have gone in and redone their profiles. I think they want to try to up their game. So we'll read their profiles and they mention it, and they'll go back in and they're trying to make their profiles look a little bit better, so we know that the things are working for us. So the other great thing is that when you're in Chapter Builder, again, you can tag people. So when you have an in-person interview with them, or you do a Zoom meeting, or you meet them in person, you can set up a bunch of tags. So again, you can kind of keep track of who's come to your events and who aren't. And then you can, again, just another way to engage in people. So if a brother meets with, we'll probably set up a tag. I met with them at lunch, or I met with them with a cup of coffee. So when we have the 17 people that are on, or the 19 people that are on our recruitment team, which I'll talk about later, it's just a different way of how we're meeting these people, how we're engaging with them. And Chapter Builder has just been really, really helpful because, again, to manage, we'll easily be over 150 to 200 names on this list at some point. And that can be really hard to manage. So we got to figure out who do we target, who do we don't want to target. The opposite can really happen too. So you can actually put up here and say not compatible, we're not interested in them. So it's, again, not somebody that we want to reach out to. And when we have multiple people engaging with our PNMs, because the 2 recruitment can't do this themselves, again, it's great for our recruitment chairman to see are the people on his team actually meeting with people and leaving good notes. So again, they can manage the process. The other great thing about this is what I found, what a lot of chapters happen is that their tool to get names are automatically generated to the ISC or to the university. They have a link to the university's page to, you got to go in, you got to fill out your profile, and you got to pay $20 to sign up for ISC recruitment, which is great. Listen, we definitely want to be, help out our university with making sure Rush is successful with the entire campus. But if they're not giving us access to those names, 365 days a year, and they're only giving us access to those names like a week before recruitment, that does us no good. So now we have access to the names and information 365 days a year. Because I know on our campus, when a person goes in and signs up for ISC recruitment, we don't get access to those names till a week before recruitment. So we can't meet them over the summertime. And the week before recruitment, we got a bunch of other stuff going on. And how do we meet 140 people or 200 people or 300 people, and have some really deep conversation and do recruitment versus rush, so that when they do finally come to our events, if we had events, we've already made a contact with them already. So the sooner you can meet them, the better. I think that's basically how we use Chapter Builder. And it's been extremely successful. So I don't know if anybody on the panel has any more questions about it.
Yeah, that's awesome, Vince. We're at the hour mark, so certainly want to be understanding of everyone's time. Everybody of the 80 attendees hanging in on there. One question coming in from former Mission 365 Chairman Mike DePuy, asking about the scholarship that Lambda Tau hands out. So wondering when the scholarship is paid out, and is that simply a check to the individual receiving it?
Yeah, so the scholarship drops. So we announce the winner right after recruitment, right? You don't have to, we stipulate in our scholarship, there's no requirement to go through recruitment or decide to pledge fraternity, like that's the stipulation, right? And then the money, we cut a check. Certainly the last three, just by coincidence, have all gone to somebody that happened to become a pledge. And then we'll just ask them, like, how do you want the $1,000 check, or do you want it to be put towards your dues? And then we'll give you our dues for our pledges are $700. And most of them, I think all of them said, yeah, put it towards my $700 dues, and then we'll cut them a check for like $300. Okay. So that's how we've done it. So.
Awesome. And then to circle back to the chapter builder, this was a pretty cool function that we saw today from Fired Up was Robert Cardenas asks if the interest forms are actually in chapter builder themselves.
Yeah, so the interest form is there. So when you log in for us, when you log into our Instagram page and you log into the interest form, the form is coming from Chapter Builder, if that makes sense. And you can custom make that form in any way you want. So whatever information you're looking for, if you don't want to, if there's a big club on campus, maybe that's the question you ask, or I don't know. I mean, we just ask kind of probably the most basic information, but you can customize your form, and then all that information gets dumped on the Chapter Builder. And what you see, what I just showed you, this is the back end of it. This is what we can see. This is not what the P&Ms can see. They don't have access to this.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, Vince. Anything else that you would like to share as we wrap up? And it looks like we have gotten through all of the questions here in the question pane. So, any other pieces that you wanted to put out there that we feel could strengthen everybody's recruitment strategy here as we prepare to go finish out the summer and head into fall?
Yeah, I guess the thing I'll leave you with, so obviously a lot of us will probably be using Zoom to connect with people, or should be using Zoom to connect with people. I think the great thing about Zoom that we've found out is that we have a Zoom call with a P&M. We'll have anywhere between 2 to 9 members on the Zoom call, but only 3 to 4 members actually asking questions. And then what we're trying to do is anytime we have a Zoom call, we try to have 2 potential members on the call at the same time. So we're trying to match people up that either live in the same town or have some of the same interests or living in the same dorm, because we're trying to be an advocate for the university to have these guys become friends, because they're not meeting each other face to face yet because they haven't been on campus. So what we're hoping is last night we had a call, 2 kids that just happened to live in the same town in New Jersey, of all places, right? Went to 2 different high schools that now we're hoping we'll meet up because we give them their contact information after. We're hoping they meet up after, and then we hope it's naturally like, they're like, hey, that was really cool. Nice to meet you. Let's do this together. So that's been really, really helpful for us. So that's something I would advocate. The other thing too, what we're doing is we're recording the Zoom calls. So again, we record it and then we send out that call. If it was something that we really enjoyed with the P&Ms, we'll share that with the larger brotherhood. So again, just getting more brothers involved so they can meet more people. And we found that super, super helpful. Our plan is to have at least 2 Zoom calls with everybody that signs up on Chapter Builder before school starts. So we're doing it. Our plan is, and we just started it. So our plan is to do Monday through Thursday, 2 P&Ms at a time, 30 minutes, a 30-minute call, 3 calls a night. So we'll basically get through, just do the math. We can probably get through the 70 guys on our list in about 3 weeks, and we'll just continue that process. So we'll have 1 Zoom call, we'll invite them back to a 2nd Zoom call, and when we invite them back, we'll pair them up with a different P&M. And that product, that's really, it's being really, really helpful for us. So something you guys want to consider, and I know that Zoom calls aren't the best thing, but like what we all have to understand is that, a year ago, none of us were using Zoom. Now we're all using Zoom. So the first couple times, I think for us, it was awkward. So I'd also recommend do some practice runs with maybe some younger guys in the chapter playing the position of a P&M. I think that will be super helpful. Have prepared questions. Make sure everybody has a prepared question to ask, so there's no downtime. But this can be a really, really good tool to recruit. And we're probably, after 2 Zoom calls, we're going to probably start handing out bids. We're going to start making decisions. So our goal, our official recruitment doesn't start till September 14th, so we can't officially give out bids till September 14th. But we'll kind of give the wink and the nod that we're like, this is the places you need to go. And our goal is to have 90% of our bids, people that were definitely interested, ready to go by the time I see official recruitment starts. And we're already there. We're starting to achieve some of those milestones already.
We also have another great question that says, my school isn't the best at creating a platform for chapters to find students interested in rushing. Do you have tips on how to approach my school or IFC to ask them for this resource?
I think that's the struggle that you have. I think like a lot of universities, for privacy reasons, they're not going to give out a list of incoming freshmen because they're just afraid what students will do with that list. So how do we go out there and find them ourselves? And again, for us, it's been through social media. Everybody's connected to social media. So like, granted, like we've only reached out to 205 incoming freshmen when we know there's basically 2,200. So it's just a constant grind, spending some time on social media. We got multiple people doing it, our recruitment chairman doing it. We've got a social media chairman doing it, our pro consul, our consul doing it. So it's not just a one-man team doing it. Following people, they follow us back. We can constantly posting stuff on Instagram. Eventually those people get converted. They sign up on Chapter Builder, fill out a profile, and then the process just begins. So, we reach out to sororities. We actually got one contact. We gave this presentation to the recruitment chairman for Florida Gulf Coast, and on the call, Florida Gulf Coast recruitment chairman said, "Hey, my brother's going to FAU." So you just never know. So the more people you talk to, the better chances you have. So yeah, again, I think if you go with the premise, you're just trying to make friends on campus, is make as many friends as possible. Those names will naturally start coming your way.
Yeah, and Vince, to add to that, I think what also is something that our undergraduates can do, our recruitment chairman can do on their own, is a lot of universities have class of 2024, Facebook pages or just general site pages or event pages where those freshmen, while not necessarily on a list being provided by the university, are there and there for the communicating. Like you said, it's a social media platform, everybody has it, and those are ways that you can begin those friendship conversations by going through those pages and having access to a lot of the resources that school provides on a public profile. Maybe not necessarily being able to provide you a list, but you can probably go get it from those incoming freshmen who join those pages.
I think you'll still see those first year students are using those Facebook pages as a way to find roommates. And usually in those initial postings, they'll list if they're interested in Greek life or not. So that's also a great way, using those same pages, but in a different way. You might not necessarily be looking for a roommate, but they might have that information in that initial, hi, I'm Sammy, I'm looking for a roommate who's interested in this.
Yeah, one thing I would say, don't just limit it to your university's social media. Go look at area high schools that feed into those universities, because your university may not put that information on there, but a lot of times, especially if the guys are getting scholarships to that university, their high school will brag about them and say, you know, here's John Doe going to FAU, you know, incoming class of 2024 or 5 or whatever it is. So yeah, check the high school social medias. Yep, that'll get you some guys too.
Yeah, we actually did that on May 1st, which was decision day. You know, we started seeing people coming from like Boca High and, you know, people up in Tampa. So we would go on those pages, and this year, like a lot of high schools started posting where people were going. And that was just, you know, we found out one kid from Boca High was coming. We go onto their Instagram page, and then we realized there's 10 male students coming from Boca High. And of course, they weren't following the Instagram page yet on FAU's Instagram page yet, but we started following them. And again, we started offering like, hey, welcome to Boca. And they're in Boca. So like we started to meet some of those guys in person, because they're like literally right down the street from us. So that's a great tip.
To that point, Vince, question comes in from Joseph Park. So you've identified the freshmen on social media. When do you start reaching out to them? This particular Joseph, they don't start classes and official IOC recruitment until late September. So what's your approach for situations like that?
The moment we start following them, we start to engage them. So we'll follow them. We'll send them a real simple welcome. What we say is welcome to paradise, because that's our tagline, because we're like a mile from the beach. So, you know, we've got a beautiful campus. So that's the FAU tagline. So it'll be like, welcome to paradise. You know, if you need help in your transition, coming to FAU with dorms, professors, places to eat, things to do in the Boca area, let us know. We're here to help you. So we'll engage that. And then we just naturally have gotten a ton of responses. Sometimes right away, a lot of them is like, thank you for that information. Sometimes we'll get a DM later on, hey, I'm filling out my class schedule. Is this a good professor to take? Hey, when everybody had to make a decision on what dorms they need to go to, we got a ton of that day. Everybody wanted to know what was the best dorms to go to, so we were able to offer that advice. So we're engaging right away, and we're letting, for the most part, because we're not rushing Sigma Chi, we're trying to make friends. We allow that natural conversation to happen. So as they continue to reach out to us, we'll just naturally kind of continue to reach out to them. But then once they fill out an interest profile, that conversation completely changes. We know for a fact that they're interested in us. So now we're re-engaging them in a different way. So, or if they like a post about us, then we know if we raised $25,000 for Hunts, we know like maybe that's something that we want to re-engage them about. Like, we saw you liked our post about Huntsman cancer. Would you be interested in coming to one of our philanthropies? Like, you can engage in so many different ways with whatever post you have. Like, we'll put a post of one of the brothers will put up a post of a brother like fishing, and then we'll re-engage. Like, oh, we saw you follow us fishing. Would you like to go fishing with us? Right? Again, they liked our post. We assume they like fishing. So it's a way to engage them. And so again, we're just making friends. We're taking friends out fishing. We're not talking about recruitment. We're taking friends fishing. And if they happen to ask us while we're out fishing, next week with them, because a bunch of brothers have boats, and they happen to ask about Sigma Chi, well, then great, we're going to answer that question. But we're not leading off with that. We're just, again, making friends.
And I hope everybody is really getting that main point. Recruitment is not about putting Sigma Chi first. It's about making friends, making those connections, being able to assess if somebody meets the Jordan standard and if they would make a great brother.
Yep.
Awesome. Couple of things for everybody, again, in the chat, for those interested in Chapter Builder, potentially refreshing their old profile or starting a new one, you can email Matt Farrell at farrell.firedup.com. And also a really cool resource that our FAU chapter has put together. There's a handout for download. If you go over to the handout section, you can download the FAU webinar handouts and be able to quickly reference a lot of the amazing resources that Vince went through today on the call, and be able to call back to that to some of your other brothers in the chapter, or when you get back to campus. So thank you, everybody.
I have this one thing. So I have access to our Instagram page. So if you guys have more questions, need more support, just go to FAU SIGs on Instagram. Go ahead and drop in a DM, ask a question, and right now I'm working from home, so I'm in a hot spot right now down here in South Florida. So I'm working from home for probably the next 30 days. So I get time on my hands. So if you guys need help, support, questions, I'm more than willing to help anybody out. Or if I need to give this presentation to a recruitment chairman that wasn't on it, please, I'll help out. And let's have a good recruitment this year, guys.
Thanks, Vince. Thanks for joining us. Awesome. Everybody have a great night, and